Hey guys, welcome out to the shop today. The other day we went ahead and created a 6-bay rabbit hutch that turned out fantastic. I am very happy with it. The next step that we got to do is create a system for the water and the feeders. The feeders can wait because we can use bowls, but the water we need to get all tied in because they drink a lot. And we haven't put them in the hutches yet because we're waiting on the stuff. So what we have today is just some basic shelf brackets. I think these were like $2 at Lowe's Hardware. And in the background on my lumber rack, I have I think a 1x10 that we're going to be using for the shelf to hold the buckets. And then we're just going to end up trying to get everything flowed off of these water buckets into the individual cages. So the way that we are going to be attaching the watering nipples is on this front side right here, and we'll probably attach it into the second row of the wire. And the only thing that you have to make sure of with this system is that your water bucket, like the drain or whatever for where you're going to attach the hose, is higher than the actual nipple. So I can have my shelf, if this is where the nipple is going to be, I can have my shelf just above it, and that's where I'm going to be attaching it. I don't want to have it too high because then wind might blow the buckets over and stuff like that. So I'm going to probably attach it right somewhere in line with this third run, and I've got some 5/8 inch screws that we're just going to be attaching these with. Now to get your second one, what I'm going to be doing is measuring off the floor and putting it at the same exact height. So it's about 7¼ inches. So it's just above this little section of chicken wire. Alright, so now I've got one screw in on both of these, and the next thing I'll do is go ahead and get my board cut to the correct width. And this should be, looks like if we cut it at 21½ inches, we'll overhang on both edges slightly, and then that'll help level these out to where we can attach the rest of it to the actual frame. So I got my board right here, and I went and measured it. It's 47 inches wide. So instead of having like a little strip that I'm not going to even use and just end up tossing away, I went ahead and split the difference, and we're at 23½ inches. And then used my homemade square, made a mark, and I haven't used this in a while, so I just flipped it over just to double check, and it lined up again. So now I'll go ahead and get this cut, and then I'll have my two shelves, one for the top run and one for the bottom section. To get this one cut, I pulled out my Distin D8. Haven't used this one in a while, so we're going to see how this one does. See if it's even set up. It looks like it's got wood shavings in there, but I'm not exactly sure. It looks like a 9-tooth. So let's see how it does. So we got our two brackets up, and now we've got our shelf. So we can just put that up there. And I'm not going to be screwing the shelf in yet. I want to make sure that my brackets are going to be sitting flush the whole way. So now I can go ahead and attach the rest of my screws in here. And now we have our shelf that we'll be able to put our actual bucket on, something like this. Just be able to set it up there. And then we'll end up having the hose come out of here and around, or you can set it over on this side. I'll probably have it in the middle, come around with it like that. Now for your watering source, I've got this bucket right here, and what I want to go ahead and do is drill a hole so I get this little barb in there. And this is what it is. It's got a 5/8 inner diameter hose connection, and that's what all my hose that I use is. And I've eyed this up. This is slightly smaller than this. We're gonna see if this will fit into the hole I drill. If not, I'll have to go one size up. But all you do is you want to go, I don't know, like an inch up from the very bottom. That way if there's any dirt or anything in there, it just kind of settles to the bottom for whenever you wash out your buckets. And I like to have it right in between where my handle is, so that when I carry it, the little barb isn't hitting my leg. And we'll see if this fits real quick. No, I'm gonna have to use a 1/2 inch drill bit. All right, so now the next step is gonna be installing the barb into the hole. And I've got some tape right here, and we are going to get this wrapped. Now before I get this all the way in, I have learned from past experience to I use this stuff called goop, and it's just like a sealant. I don't think it'll come out of the nozzle. I've had this one for a while. Yeah, I gotta take off the top. And I'll just kind of squeeze this around. And then I'll go ahead and tighten this up a little bit more, and this kind of pushes some of the goop in the threads. And also helps to seal it. And I'll just wait a little bit for this to kind of dry up before I start really messing with it. So while we are waiting for that connection to kind of get tacky-ish, sort of dry, I can go ahead and start running some of my lines. And all I've got is some 5/8 inch inner diameter black hose. You want to use black because it helps with the algae and it helps keep the nipples from getting clogged up, because you don't have all the nastiness building up on the inside of here. And go into these nipples. Nipples, you guys can get them off of Amazon. I really like this kind. I can't remember what brand this is. These ones have lasted the longest though that we've been using them. I think we're running on almost 8 months without having to replace any, without them leaking. I'll go ahead and try to go back in my order history, figure out what these are, and I'll probably put them in the description down below, because if you guys know, a lot of the water nipples leak after a little bit of time, and these haven't. So I really highly recommend using this brand, which I'll get you guys that brand. But pretty much all I'm doing is pushing the hose onto the nipple and then letting it come out a little bit and kind of eyeing up where I want to have this cut. And I do it right about there. And I need a second one for my middle section. So I'll make another one the exact same length. That way they look uniform. Put this one on as well. And when you order your water nipples, it will come with some of these little tees. Whenever I get new ones, I go ahead and go through. I have a ton of these. They give you more tees than they give you the nipples because of running lines and stuff. So I have a lot of tees, and I replaced these about 6 months just because they're plastic and they can deteriorate over time. But the way that you do these, you just plug them in so that the tee goes this way. And I'll put this one over here as well. Now to connect the two sections together, I pretty much will connect this section. I have small zip ties that I'll actually use, and I'll feed up through the wire. And I will connect this directly to the cage so that it doesn't move. And it also helps with locking it to make sure that it stays sealed. Now I'll just run this over to this section, make sure that this is where I want it. Get my distance cut a little long, and just slightly long. Then I can connect these two, and I will zip tie that to that part of the cage right there. Now you know you've got a great nice little tight joint right there. There it is. The watering system is now completed. You guys can see that I got it hooked up over here. Runs down. There's 1, 2, 3, and now all we need to do is fill it up with some water and test it out. This one on the bottom is already hooked in, plumbed in, and you guys can see, well, maybe you can't. You guys can see that it's draining water right there. So as long as you have the bucket higher than the nipple, it will be fine. I have been waiting just for this to kind of get tacky, and it is. So I'm hoping that it's sealed. Usually the tape is fine, but I have had to go back. You guys can see on this one, this is an older bucket, and I put the goop on there, and it's held ever since, no issues whatsoever. And you can see with this one, it doesn't have any goop, and it does leak out on the bottom a little bit. You guys can see the standing water right there. So before you put it all the way in, put some goop on there, make sure that it dries good, and then you guys should be fine. Alright guys, well there you go. There is how you set up an automatic waterer system. Like I said, the top one right here is not filled yet. I'm going to wait overnight for about 12 hours to let this pretty much dry up. I don't want any chance of any leaks. It's a real pain in the butt trying to get these sealed up, because then you got to wait for it to dry out. You got to wait, then you're taking your bucket down for a little while, stuff like that. Big inconvenience. But this one right here was an old bucket. It's already all sealed up. You guys saw me able to push out water out of these nipples, and the way that you want to do it is just come to your last one first and just kind of let all the air out of that one, and then you work your way back down and you'll get all the air out of your system, and you'll have some happy rabbits. Thanks guys for watching the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys found it useful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. This is my 4th setup for doing an automatic watering system, so I know this works. I know it's a proven thing that works, and it's really good. Like I said, these nipples, I'll try to figure out which ones they are, and I'll leave them down below, because nipples are a pain in the butt trying to find ones that work well. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.